Emily met David on a breezy April afternoon at a corner coffee shop she'd never tried before. She was a senior, killing time between classes while her thesis advisor untangled some crisis in the faculty office. David had ducked in for a quick lunch because he'd just switched to a higher-paying job and still had no idea where anything was in the neighborhood. 10 years older, dressed in a trim navy suit that said, "I know what I'm doing." He paused by Emily's table, flashed an easy smile, and asked, "Mind if I sit? The place is packed and I could use some company." She felt a warm jolt of flattery. Guys like him rarely noticed girls still living on a campus meal plan. So she slid her laptop aside and said, "Sure, knock yourself out." They started talking about nothing and everything. Her half-finished novel, his new project management gig, the cinnamon-heavy pastries in the display case. Conversation flowed so naturally that when David finally checked his watch, he realized he'd blown past his entire lunch break. He asked for her number. She wrote it on his receipt with a purple pen, and by the end of the week, they'd logged more hours on FaceTime than she had on homework. Things escalated fast. 6 months later, they were splitting rent on a sunny one-bedroom. 3 months after that, they stood in front of a county clerk in matching smiles and said, "I do." Overnight, Emily upgraded from creaky dorm furniture to David's tastefully furnished condo. Soft leather-framed road trip photos and a balcony view of the river that looked ripped from a Zillow daydream. David told her she didn't have to rush into the workforce if she wasn't ready. "Take your time," he said over Thai takeout the first night they unpacked. "Finish that novel. I've got us covered." Emily thanked him, decided to breathe for the first time since freshman orientation, and that breather stretched into years. David never complained. He liked coming home to the smell of dinner and a wife humming along to indie playlists, even if her half-finished manuscript lay untouched most afternoons. One Tuesday over baked ziti, Emily mentioned that her best friend Faith was throwing a birthday dinner the following Friday at their old college hangout. Faith had been her ride or die since orientation. They'd survived dorm drama, bad professors, and worse boyfriends together. David nodded. He'd gotten used to Emily meeting her, friends while he caught up with his own crew at a sports bar. So he set up a poker night for the same evening. Friday rolled around. Emily slipped into the emerald dress he loved, kissed David goodbye, and Ubered to the restaurant. The gang was already there, confetti on the table, 3 half-empty pitchers of sangria, and Faith wearing a tiara that said, "Birthday Queen in glitter." Laughter boomed, toasts clinked, appetizers vanished. Mid-evening, the door swung open and in walked Kevin and Alex, brothers who'd been certified heartthrobs back in their undergrad days. Kevin, the mischievous one, and Alex, the thoughtful one, had shared marketing classes with Emily and Faith, and the girls had spent entire semesters inventing ways to sit closer to them. Faith's eyebrows shot up. Emily's heart did a ridiculous cartwheel she hoped no one noticed. The brothers spotted them, grinned like they'd found rare coins, and strolled over. Look who it is. Emily Brooks and Faith Turner in the flesh. Soon they'd pushed 2 tables together, ordered another round, and fallen into the kind of nostalgic banter that makes you forget you ever graduated. Hours slid by. At 11 o'clock, the married and taken friends peeled off, leaving Emily, Faith, and the brothers surrounded by empty queso bowls and sticky cocktail napkins. Faith, who'd spent the night practically telegraphing, "Notice me," Alex, leaned in and stage whispered, "After party at my place?" Alex lit up. Kevin raised his glass. Emily hesitated. Married, remember? But the sangria steamrolled her common sense, and she mumbled, "Okay, just for a bit." They split a ride share. In the back seat, Kevin rested his hand on Emily's knee like it belonged there, tracing small, absent circles. She told herself it was harmless. It felt weirdly nice to be noticed by the guy she used to doodle hearts around in psych class, and she let the moment coast. Faith's apartment smelled like vanilla candles and fresh laundry. Music thumped low. Vodka splashed over ice. They laughed. Through silly drinking games. shouted over throwback playlists, and by 1 a.m., wobbled somewhere between tipsy and reckless. Faith plopped beside Emily on the couch, eyes sparkling. "Listen," she murmured. "Alex just pitched an idea, something fun. Don't freak," she explained. Alex wanted a three-way with Faith and Kevin, but when Faith remembered Emily's long-ago crush on Kevin, she thought maybe Emily would jump in and make it a double date of sorts. Emily gaped. "Are you serious?" Faith giggled. "Come on, Em. It's my birthday." Live a little. Across the room, Kevin was watching her like she was the only light left on earth. The vodka hummed in Emily's veins, painting bold pictures in her head. She pictured David, steady, predictable David, who liked missionary and movie nights, who'd never suggest something so wild. She swallowed the rest of her drink and heard herself say, "All right, let's try it." Smiles all around, hands everywhere, clothes in, a tumble. An hour later, Emily was in Faith's shower, scrubbing skin that still buzzed with half-drowned guilt. She slipped back into her emerald dress, called another ride, and reached home before David. She slid under the comforter, slowed her breathing, and pretended she'd been asleep for hours. David got in around 2, kissed her temple, never caught the cheap citrus cologne that wasn't his. 30 days passed like nothing happened. Then David announced that his buddies were renting a lake house for the weekend and insisted Emily join. She'd only hung with David's crowd twice, finance guys and their spouses, all at least a decade older. But she agreed on one condition. Could Faith tag along so she wouldn't be stranded in conversations about interest rates and lawn care? David said sure, cabin booked. Saturday evening at the lake, red Solo cups everywhere, someone suggested. Never have I ever. You hold up 5 fingers, confess something you've never done, drink if you actually have. Harmless icebreaker until Faith, cheeks flushed, blurted, "Never have I ever had a threesome with 2 brothers." She laughed proud and took a gulp of tequila, gasps, whistles, questions. David stared at Emily. Emily stared at the floor, face on fire. Faith, loving the spotlight, spilled details. "It was my birthday, Kevin and Alex from college. You guys remember them? It just sort of happened." David's eyes narrowed, his mental calendar flipped to last month's Friday. Poker night for him. Birthday. Dinner for Faith. Emily oddly quiet when she got home. He said nothing, but a steel door clicked shut behind his eyes. When the crowd drifted off to roast s'mores, David cornered Faith on the deck, voice low. "Hey, about that birthday story, was Emily involved?" Faith, tipsy and loose-tongued, confessed everything before she realized the trap. David walked to his car, left the cabin dust swirling in his taillights, and never looked back. Back in the city, he packed Emily's things into boxes before she even made it home. She tried apologies, explanations, ugly crying, but David's decision was ironclad. The divorce papers hit the doormat in record time, and Emily found herself lugging suitcases to Faith's spare bedroom because there was nowhere else to go. She thought the worst was behind her. Then gossip spread. Kevin and Alex, far from keeping the night hush-hush, bragged to anyone who'd listen. Word ping-ponged through alumni chats until strangers began sliding into Emily's DMs with sleazy offers. Random numbers rang at 2 a.m., whispering fantasies she didn't want to hear. Eventually, she and Faith changed phone numbers, but the damage lingered like smoke in old curtains. Without David's paycheck, Emily had to face the job market cold. A fresh diploma with 0 experience turned out to be an IOU nobody wanted, so she settled for a cashier gig at the neighborhood grocery. 8-hour shifts on aching feet, customers snapping about coupons. One night, exhausted, she collapsed on Faith's futon and sobbed until her throat hurt. All she could think was how a single why not had cost her a husband who loved her, a home that felt safe, and the easy future she'd taken for granted. She wished for time travel, for an undo button, for any chance to rewind to that first sip of sangria and say, "Sorry guys, I'm heading home." But life only runs forward and regret never pays rent.